Hello there everyone, welcome to another video on the channel, and yes, welcome to another video about tyres, but more specifically this one is actually about tyre temperatures. And the reason for doing this video is because of a very unusual situation that arose in the very recent GTWS manufacturers race around Autopolis in the Group 3 cars. Now, on the face of it, it looked like a very simple race. It was 10 laps, but strangely we did have the choice of the soft, the mediums and the hard tyres. Now, it looked like a no-brainer, no stop on the soft tyres. The soft tyres should have a massive advantage over the medium tyres around a track like Autopolis, and with a multiplier of only ×2 in 10 laps, the soft tyre should easily be able to do 20 laps. But people were reporting to me in my comments and in various discords that the soft tyres after 3 to 4 laps were starting to lose dramatic performance even in practice sessions where tyre wear is not on. But tyre temperature is on in free practice, and I decided to do a little bit of experimenting. However, what most people were finding was that instead of using the soft tyres in the race, which you would thought would be the most logical choice, people were using the medium tyres because the medium tyres performed more consistently. So I never actually managed to get into this race, but I did watch a few people do them and I seen the problems firsthand myself. And as you can see from, as we look at the end of a race here, I think this is an all 8+ race. I recognise a good few of the names in there. But you can see, you know, most people were on the medium tyres. A few people did venture onto the soft tyres. But the lap times are very consistent, dropping off from like mid-46s all the way up into the 48s for some people. Even though tyre wear shouldn't have been a problem, we know that from the video we did last time, that as long as you have 50% of the tread on the tyre, as a lot of the people still do here at the end of the race, you should be able to lap pretty much consistently at the same pace, all the way up until, you know, you burn off half the tyre. And then even then, if you kind of down to even 20%, you should only be losing probably about 1.5 to 1.7, maybe a bit more than that in the current tyre wear model with these new tyres. But you can see, even though some people only sort of used about 30% of the tread, they were dropping 2 to 3 seconds per lap. So yeah, I decided I would go and do some testing and try and figure out what was going on here, because I knew it wasn't tyre wear related, and the only other thing it could be was tyre temperature related. Now, as I said, I wasn't able to do this race myself, but I was able to replicate the conditions because GTWS races very often use World Circuit time trial conditions. So here is the cloud formations in GTWS, and then in time trial at World Circuits, you can see the cloud formation is exactly the same. And the tyre temperature for this one was 29 degrees. So GTWS, I believe, was also ran between 29 and 31 degrees, which is actually very, very high, and probably goes some way to explain some of the stuff that we're about to unveil here or try to explain. So I also have the Sim Dashboard tyre temperature app as well, so we can correlate the data for the tyre temperatures and see what those tyres are doing as we progress. So yeah, getting to lap 4 here, start off lap 5, you can see essentially the tyres have performed okay up until this point, relatively consistent. We are on the soft tyres. You can see though, we have not got anywhere near enough wear on these soft tyres to be losing any performance through the wear. But as you're about to see as this lap unfolds, that delta is going to start going up and up and up. And that is because our tyre temperatures have reached the point where they are starting to lose grip and slow us down. You actually, believe it or not, I could actually feel the tyres get a little bit spongy at this point. You could just feel that the grip wasn't quite there. You're going to see this delta is going to continue to go up throughout the course of this lap. And what I have kind of discovered is that essentially these soft tyres do not like it once they get into the sort of high 80-degree temperature mark. You know, so we've lost 6 temps there. The tyre wear on those tyres is nowhere near enough to be losing that kind of time. But going through these fast corners, you're going to see we have a bit of a moment there, so that's 3 temps gone. The tyres then jump up to over 90%. And in an MR car like we're in here, like the Audi, you essentially get into this concertina effect, whereas the tyre temperatures rise, the rear starts to lose grip, you start to slide a little bit more, that rises the tyre temperature a little bit more, and it's very, very hard to recover once you get the tyres into this window. Our rear left now hitting 90 degrees, so we are beyond the threshold of what these soft tyres like in terms of temperature. And it's very difficult to bring the tyres back into that window because of that concertina effect I was talking about. in the AMR cars, and even in an FR car, because I did some laps in the Jaguar. You know, you're kind of relying on the front tyres so much, so it's the front tyres that go beyond that threshold. You just understeer, and because there's so many corners on Autopolis, there's not enough straights for the tyres to cool down. You basically just end up understeering for the rest of the race. Eventually, the trickiness of the car catches us out here on lap 9, and around we went completely. Bit of tyre wear in there as well, of course, now by this point, but we should have still been able to get the car to the end. It was just the tyre temperatures making the rear end of the car so tricky indeed that eventually caught us out. And that concertina effect, of course, with the little constant slides, meant the tyres just never ever recovered once they got up to that sort of 90 degrees Celsius threshold. The tyre temperature has always been a thing in Gran Turismo 7 and also indeed Gran Turismo Sport, but just hasn't quite played such a relevant part up until today. Although I do remember doing a Group 4 race around Autopolis a wee while back, and I was using FF cars for some reason. I must have been doing some kind of challenge on the stream, and even though the tyre wear was at ×1 and we were on the hard tyres, after about 2 to 3 laps I was losing pace, and it did turn out when we put the tyre temperature app on that I was running the front tyres up above 100 degrees Celsius, and that tended to be the reason. So it's not the first time it's came up, but I think it's the first time it's came up when so many people have been aware of it. So we jumped onto the medium tyres and thought I'll do a 10 lap run around here on the medium tyres and see what the medium tyres are doing in terms of temperatures. And you'll see up there in the top right hand corner, we have very similar tyre temperatures, if not even slightly higher compared to the soft tyres. But our lap times are remaining consistent, so doing like low 47s, high 46s for the entirety of the run. So it does seem that the medium tyres have a higher threshold of operating window. It's the soft tyres that don't like the temperature. It's not the temperature itself, it would seem, because you can see here we're at 92 degrees there on the left rear, but the medium tyres still have the grip. Now I would assume the medium tyres also have their threshold. I'm going to imagine if you get these up to about 100 degrees, you're going to start exhibiting the same behaviour as we've seen on the soft tyres. But at these temperatures, like 90 degrees, which is not optimal, the kind of optimal sort of degrees is about 75, 76 degrees. But even at these temperatures, the medium tyres can't deal with it. It's the soft tyres that can't deal with these temperatures, which is a very interesting aspect to the sort of tyre knowledge that we're going to have to take into account going forward. But yeah, the medium tyres run the same kind of temperatures, but they actually don't lose the grip. It's the soft tyres that don't like the high temperatures. Now I did think, you know, let's do a test at another track, so we jumped into Catalunia here on the Audi, on the soft tyres, similar length of lap, quite a tough track on the tyres as well, but I couldn't get Catalunia to anywhere near as high a temperature as I could Autopolis. We only managed to get a Catalunia at 25 degrees. But you can see here the tyres are eventually, after about 6 laps, we're getting into that kind of window where the soft tyres are going to start not really enjoying what's going on. We've got a bit of tyre wear on there as well. I am running ×3 tyre wear here, a little bit higher than we had at Autopolis, just to try and kind of reinforce the knowledge here. But yeah, the tyres should still be performing absolutely fine given that wear there. We're probably losing about 3 or 4 temps per lap through the wear. But the tyre temperatures are a lot more stable, so not really going above 85 degrees, which is just about the limit of what these soft tyres can take. It's really once you go beyond 85 degrees that the soft tyres start to give up. And then obviously the sliding starts, and then the temperatures keep rising, and it's very hard to bring it back. But yeah, 85 is just right on the limit of what these soft tyres can't deal with. And coming out the last chicane here to end lap 6, this was really as high as the tyre temperatures went. We've kind of been running these kind of temperatures for about the last 2 or 3 laps before we pulled over here. So I think a lot of what happened at Autopolis was a kind of perfect storm, to be honest with you. The track temperatures being so high. It's a twisty track. There's not a lot of straights for the tyres to recover in terms of temperature. So I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as big a problem at most other tracks, but it's definitely something we now need to keep in mind when we are formulating strategy and taking a look at things in Daily Race C and GTWS. These soft tyres do not like high temperatures, and it seems to be a soft tyre related problem, or certainly the threshold for the soft tyres to perform appears to be much lower than your medium and your hard tyres, as evidenced by the fact that the medium tyres were actually in some ways slightly higher in terms of temperature compared to the softs. But whilst the softs just died in performance and no longer gave the grip once they got to that sort of 90 degrees, the medium tyres seem to be absolutely fine with that. So yeah, interesting stuff indeed. Certainly something I wasn't aware of up until this race came along, and a big thank you to DTR Deck in the comments of the last video for making me aware of this. A few other people also commented on it as well. But yeah, for a so-called simcade racer, or some people even refer to Gran Turismo as an arcade racer, that's some pretty highbrow technical stuff going on there with the tyres. Not only do we have to worry about the tyre wear, we now have to consider tyre temperatures much more than we did in the past. But it does beg the question, really, why is this information not available in-game? If tyre temperatures are going to play such an integral part in some races, then we need to have that information on-game, on-screen, rather than using a third-party app like I have used. But yeah, hopefully you found the video interesting. I certainly did, because I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to tyres. But yeah, hopefully it's explained what was going on in this GTWS race, and it'll help you going forward in terms of races that have very high temperatures. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye now.